Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to do a walk around of this Mirka, dustless system. There's a lot of pros, a lot of cons. I'm going to go over everything and kind of my opinion on it, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with me, but I would be happy to hear it. I think a lot of people are coming at this from the angle of working on cars, and I think that this system runs into some problems when you switch it over and try and use it on trucks or anything bigger. I'm gonna get into it and I'll see what you guys think. Thank you so much for checking out the video. All right, let's go. All right, so here is the actual dustless system right down here. It's essentially a shop vac with an electrical outlet to run a DA on. This is how you switch from using one DA to adding a second DA. This is like constant suction. So this will allow you to use two DAs on it. And this is a single DA control, and then the controls themselves are on the DA itself. This one came on this fancy cart. The cart's nice, it's very sturdy. It has good, room to put stuff on. Hang stuff on the back here. Hooks for electrical lines, hooks for your DA and your cable hook, this thing, suction tube, hose, that's the word. So the cart's very nice. The system itself, it seems fairly easy to empty. I'm not exactly sure what this up here is. I just found that there's a second plug up here. I'm not sure what it does. And then there's two things here. I don't really know what they do, but if anyone would like to tell me, I would love to know. The wheels are good. They seem to work well. One of the things you get on a lot of these kinds of things is wheels that are kind of crappy. They put a lot of money into the system in the cart, and then the wheels are garbage. So these actually having nice wheels that move nicely around the shop was nice. I'm gonna start with the pros. I'm gonna start with the cons, and then I'll move into the pros. So I use this on a dump truck. So I sanded, two sides, the back, and the inside and the underside of a dump truck with this. A couple of things, at least with 180, I would say I use less sandpaper than I do with my normal DA. So I think I guess I'll start with the pros. I would say the sandpaper, I do use less DA paper when I'm going. So I thought that was nice. I probably used, I think on the whole thing, actually this is my sandpaper right here. So I did two sides, the underside and the back, and I used 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have a piece on there now, so 5 pieces of sandpaper. That's pretty good for that much of a dump truck. It was only a smaller dump truck, but still that's pretty good. The DA is very powerful. I liked the DA a lot. I did not think I would, because I generally don't like palm sanders. I prefer DAs that have a handle and stuff, a two-handed DA. I just feel like you can get more power out of them. The one I use is a National Detroit, and it's my favorite DA I've ever used, and in my opinion, it's the best. This one, though, I did like. It's very powerful. They say it's less noise. I think the volume, here's the power button, by the way. This is how you turn it on, and then this is how you control the power. And you can turn it down or turn it up. I was running it pretty high. Pretty much running it all the way on top, up at maximum potential. They say it's less noisy, so I believe that it has less, it's quieter overall. However, because you have the rotation, so the mechanical noise and the vacuum, I wouldn't say that you can, it's not like you can hear more or anything. It's running on, I feel like it's just running across such a broad spectrum of sound that you really can't hear anything any better. I don't think it's really that much quieter. I just think it's probably quieter, but I feel like it's just as noisy because it is
it's creating both the mechanical noise of the DA moving and this suction. So I wouldn't say it's really that much quieter, although the DA is very powerful and I liked it a lot. And it was easy to control. It would fit very comfortably in my hand. So yeah, I like the DA a lot. This hose, I think, is where you're gonna run into some problems because you can only, so this is pretty much my biggest complaint here, is that the whole thing is very cumbersome to use. You know, normally I grab my DA and my airline and I walk to where I'm going. Having to maneuver this cart around is a little bit of a pain in the ass. I didn't love that. Especially right now we have a 25-foot box truck, a 16-foot box truck, a dump truck, an F750 dump truck, and another car in the shop. Maneuvering this around all those things was not easy. And so I think that just the size of it, once I got it in place, I was able to plug it in. And then it was a little easier, but still not super easy, you know, to get it set up and stuff. So that's something to consider if you're in a tight space. This hose, so this is my big complaint with this thing. This hose, it's like 25 feet, but I was constantly running out of it because obviously when you're working on trucks, and I don't think you'd have this problem on cars, when you're working on trucks, you have to take into consideration that you have to go up and over, up and around. So you're already, you know, 6, 7 feet, 8 feet off the ground, and then you have to try and pull this thing around. So I pretty much every time I finished a side of the truck, I had to stop, move the whole cart to a new position so that I could then get this to where I needed it to be, which was an extremely kind of annoying when I was like working up on top of the truck or anything like that. Inside the dump body was a bit of a pain there. The other issue is in the past, this one seems like it's maybe a little stronger, but working on trucks in general, unlike with cars, there's a lot more grease and grime, there's a lot more water and that kind of stuff. And in the past, and there's also a lot more sharp edges. In the past, these hoses have not fared well. So I don't know how expensive these are, but I have a feeling that that's really where the major problem is gonna be using this system in the shop, is that I feel like we're gonna tear through these hoses constantly. And that's where I think the real issue is. I really liked that they ran the electrical line into the hose so that this was, so the electrical line goes in there and then you only have the one hose to contend with while you're carrying it around. And then here it gets a little smaller and a little easier to manage. One thing I will say about this is that it was very maneuverable, even though it is a little bigger than the DA, than my typical airline. Even though it's a little bigger, it was fairly easy to get around. I did find myself accidentally stepping on it and stuff a couple times, which again, I just feel like they're just not that durable. And I think that that's gonna lead to problems over time. The other big thing is that these DAs are extremely expensive compared to your average DA. So working on trucks, again, you put a lot more wear and tear on these things than generally when you're working on cars or you know, smaller stuff. And so that's a concern of mine. I did not get the mini DA attachment, so I didn't get to try that out, which is, you know, on trucks we use mini DAs constantly because you have to be able to get into all kinds of different angles and stuff. So I really would like to try that out. But, you know, overall, I will say that it definitely reduced the amount of dust I was creating by a significant amount. I would say, you know, I wouldn't say 100%, but I would probably say 80% less dust created, which was really good. But I could wear a mask. I still have to wear a mask anyways, you know, which cuts down 100% of the dust because I use a really nice mask when I sand. I don't use a dust mask. I use like a painting mask. So it cuts down, you know, all of the dust going into my lungs anyways. So I don't know. I'm on the fence. I mean, it is a very nice system. I think that it would work a lot better on cars and that kind of thing. Oh, one more thing is that obviously on trucks, they're bigger, you kind of need to blow as you go. You need to finish a section. Basically, the way that we do trucks is we finish a section, you know, like a 5 foot by 5 foot section, blow it off, check it, anything we missed, and then we go back and then we move on to the next section. Without an airline here, you still have to run a second airline to run your blowgun, so you're still having to carry around a second line, even though, you know, ideally you don't have to. And there was still enough dust left over that I didn't feel comfortable not blowing it off and moving on when I was finished. So even though the amount of dust created was significantly less, I still did need to run I needed to run an airline basically to, as I went. So it was just like another line. So I think the whole thing is just very cumbersome, especially in a shop where there's not going to be, this is never just going to sit in one spot. It's going to have to go all over the place, you know. I do wish the line was a little longer. They said you can stick 2 together and you end up with like a 50-foot line, but now you have a 50-foot line hanging off the back of the other thing. So I don't know, that just seems excessive, I guess. But I would say overall it's a nice system. It's very nice, and I will give them credit that it did work better than a lot of systems I've used in the past. But I'm not sold. I'm not sure that it's right for working on big trucks. I'd love to hear what you guys all think in the comments, so feel free to let me know. And thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.